Hey everybody, how are you today? Uh, I, I hope you have a great one. If it's morning where you're at, make the best of it. If it's whatever time of day it is, make the best of it. I was thinking about the recurring theme to these podcasts and YouTube videos, and that might be, in fact, it is treat others as you would be treated. It's the golden rule, the universal rule, whatever you want to call it. And my dad raised me on that premise. And briefly, my dad was a Illinois State policeman, strongest man, yet the most gentle person I ever met in my life. He was like 6'3" and 230, like me, kind of. And I never saw him raise his voice, never saw him raise a hand to anyone in our family or anywhere, really. Didn't talk about his job much. I did, one time we were picking my mom up from getting her hair done in downtown Belleville, Illinois, and he saw these two guys fighting. So he jumped out of the car, locked it to make sure, we were safe, my sister and I. And he pulled these guys apart, and I was amazed at the strength that he had. And these guys weren't small either, but he pulled them apart and held them at bay until the Belleville police got there, because that wasn't his jurisdiction. He was off duty and whatnot. Anyway, that's interesting. And as I grew up, I was bullied as a kid, and it's not something I talk about much, but it made me who I am, and it made me realize that you have to treat people with respect and care. And boy, making fun of other people, that's just not the way to go. And if they tell you bullying isn't in schools anymore, it certainly is. I have a firsthand experience, and everything was always the kid's fault. It was never the teacher's fault. It's never, ever. I guess the schools are just afraid to have something happen, so they push the blame off. Oh, let's sweep that under the rug, nothing to see here and all that stuff. But it's garbage, because kids are getting bullied these days, and it's absolutely abominable. Just pitiful that this is happening in this day and age. Well, that's my political statement, I guess, for the day. But I want to tell you, as I grew older, I remembered what it was like. So I've always treated people, or tried to, from the clerk at the store to a company president I may have been working with, treat them all the same. We all put our pants on one leg at a time, as they say. Anywho, to get to my point, there's a story, and I try to keep these about 10 minutes, so I try not to ramble. But there was a story I came across in TikTok the other day, on TikTok, about this forensic psychologist who worked for the San Francisco Police Department. His name was Jerome Mata. And you can Google it and look it up, but I looked through it all, and it's a true story. Anyway, one of his jobs was, people jump off the Golden Gate Bridge. They have for years. You may have heard about that, to commit suicide. It must be the place to go if you want to end it all, but that's dumb too. It's not our life. It's God's life. We can't end it on our own accord. I don't believe. You got to be in pretty crappy shape. Just move or something. I mean, it's easy to say, hard to do, but we all get depressed at times. But, I try to solve my issues internally or through a support group known as my family. So this guy would investigate these jumpers. It was his job to find out what made them do what they did, and also if it was a true suicide or not. So he would see this stuff, and he would always follow up, go to the person's houses, talk to their family and friends, and find out what made them do what they did, so that they actually had closure to the case. And it was as much for the families as it was for their records. So anyway, this one fellow one time took his life, unfortunately. So Mr. Mata, Corporal Mata, whatever his name, title was, he found this guy's apartment, house, whatever it was. And they went in, and what he found shook him to his core, he said. And there was a note on the dresser, and he'd seen notes on dressers hundreds of times, if not more. Note on the dresser, goodbye cruel world, not to make light of it, but there was always a theme such as that. But this message was something totally different. And the note said, I'm walking to the bridge. If one person stops me and says hello, I'm turning around and coming back home. There you go. This poor fella, that could have saved his life. Just one person. And he must have meant it, otherwise he would be here. Whoever he was, God rest his soul. But, the thing is, you can be that person for someone else. I've talked about this in previous videos at least once or twice, but you can be that person. You might be that person. I told you the story of me talking to the lady at the deli counter at Schnucks. She really had nothing to do with me. But as I was pushing my cart around, I got to thinking about it, and I found out a way I could make her laugh. And she actually took her mask off to laugh. Who knows? Maybe that was nothing, but maybe it was something that made her happy, made her day. Who knows? So you can be that person. You can be that person, like John Prine, hello in there. Don't just pass them by and stare as if they weren't there. Say hello in there. So that's my message, and it's kind of a recurring theme, but if that's the one thing I can get out there, it's worth it. You may be only one person, but you can be the world to that one person. So get out there and do it. Make somebody happy today. Make them laugh. Pick up your kid and throw them in the air and just be happy. It puts you in a better mood too. You know what? It just does. And off the subject, like I said, I wanted to do this outside, but it's so bloody hot here. And at the time of day it is already. My camera kept shutting down. So you get to see my little office with my SMFR, the podcast shirts, which I do have. My blues calendar, whatever. My Steve Reed music banner, which is a small version. Of course, we have Old Glory here. And there's my SMFR, the podcast, little description. So don't forget to tune in. I do these weekly. And the podcasts are out there on Apple, Spotify, Google, all that stuff, YouTube channel. Please like, subscribe, review, anything you can do to push this content forward. I enjoy doing it. I want to keep doing it. I want to keep giving you a positive message that isn't bull hockey. I want to tell true stories. I want your input. So don't forget to email me at smfrthepodcast@gmail.com. Let me know what you think. I can dial you in on my little podcast machine right here. You can call in and we can talk. I want to hear your story too. Let's make somebody else's day today. Say hello in there. And don't forget, we are the champions. Have a great one, folks. Love y'all. I really do.